Hello, everyone. Welcome to AptiPlus, the Academy for Civil Services. Today, we are here to discuss our weekly current affairs, that is for UPSC from 15th to 21st of February. That is your third part of weekly current affairs. Now, let us start with our questions. We will be covering the we'll be covering in question format, and that too MCQ, and the mains question will be discussed. Our question number one: which of the following statements about the Levant region of West Asia are correct? Since West Asia is constantly in news and it is a conflict prone area, and UPSC has been asking question on map based, first, before looking at the question, let's see where it is located, then you can solve. See, this is your West Asian region, and here we have countries Turkey, Syria, as you can look on the map, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran, and Iraq. Now, since you have knowledge of this West Asian map, let us see what Levant region is. Number one statement: the Levant region historically includes modern day countries such as Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Israel, and Palestine. The term Levant is derived from the French word lever, meaning to rise, referring to the direction of rising sun. The Levant is characterized by the predominantly desert climate with minimal agricultural activity. Fourth, the region has been a cultural and the trade crossroads for century, connecting Asia, Africa, Europe. So even if you don't know that where all countries are involved, first we want कि कुछ चीजें कुछ स्टेटमेंट्स तो एटलीस्ट करेक्ट हो सकते हैं. दैट इज फोर देखने से लग रहा है दैट इट इज अ positive statements, and yes, this region could be associated with culture and the trades that have been going on through the West Asia for centuries. तो आपका 4 तो करेक्ट है. इतना तो आप मैप देखते हैं तो वेस्ट एशिया की इंपॉर्टेंस हमें पता है कनेक्टिविटी में कितनी है. It is characterized by predominantly desert climate with minimal agricultural activity. So this could be a matter of क्वेश्चन की मिनिमल एग्रीकल्चरल एक्टिविटी होती है यहाँ पे. देन द टर्म विच यू नीड टू नो. सो आंसर फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन इज योर 1, 2 and 4. तो मतलब टर्म इज करेक्ट. थर्ड पे हमें डाउट हो रहा था क्वेश्चन की मिनिमल एग्रीकल्चरल एक्टिविटी हो रही है किसी रीजन में. सो दिस इज योर इनकरेक्ट. आप लॉजिक से भी सोचिए, इतनी मिनिमल एक्टिविटी भी नहीं होती कि प्रीडोमिनेटली डिजर्ट है तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं करेंगे. देन उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपकी एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी. तो फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड सही है. इट इज डिराइव फ्रॉम फ्रेंच वर्ड लीवर, जिसका मीनिंग होता है डायरेक्शन ऑफ राइजिंग सन. एंड ईस्ट साइड में एशिया साइड को तो वैसे भी सन की डायरेक्शन से डिनोट करा जाता है. एंड इट इंक्लूड्स द कंट्रीज ऑफ लेबनन, सीरिया, जॉर्डन, इजराइल एंड पैलेस्टीन. इनकी लोकेशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर एग्जाम पर्सपेक्टिव, एंड स्पेशली जो आईआर के क्वेश्चन आते हैं. जस्ट हैव अ लुक वंस अगेन ऑन द लोकेशन. यू कैन सी लेबनन, इजराइल, सीरिया, जॉर्डन and Egypt. And this triangular is your Sinai Peninsula. It is part of Egypt itself. And here we have Mediterranean Sea and Red Sea. तो Mediterranean Sea पास में है तो it is not possible कि Mediterranean climate नहीं होगा यहाँ पे. आपको पता है इसराइल में ऑरेंजेस एंड ये सब की एक्टिविटीज बहुत ज्यादा होती है, ऑरेंज प्रोडक्शन. सो थर्ड स्टेटमेंट के रॉन्ग होते ही आपको अपना आंसर मिल जाएगा. If you know that fourth is correct. Why this has been asked the question? The recently Lebanon has condemned a recent attack on United Nations interim force in Lebanon convoy in Beirut. तो अभी Lebanon area बहुत ज़्यादा न्यूज़ में है. That is why this question of Levant is asked, and it is being asked previously in UPSC. Now moving on to our next question. Consider the following statements regarding intertidal BioBlitz initiative and the intertidal zone. Number one, intertidal bioblitz conducted by Coastal Conservation Foundation and East Coast Conservation Team documented the biodiversity of India's intertidal zone, including the first recorded sightseeing of flatform Pseudocerosis bifascia from the mainland India. See, this question has been given to increase your knowledge. So yes, this initiative of BioBlitz is actually, this drive is actually conducted by this foundation along with the East Coast Conservation Team that has for the first time recorded India's intertidal diversity of India's intertidal zone. तो इसके लिए we should know that what is intertidal zone. Intertidal zone आपके इंडियन कोस्ट के अलोंग और एनी कोस्ट इफ देर इज उनके अलोंग मिलती है जहां पे टाइड्स भी आती हैं एज वेल एज यहाँ पे जो आपकी स्पीशीज मिलती हैं. इट इज अ इकोटोन रीजन. जो आपकी स्पीशीज होती है यहाँ पे दे आर कॉन्स्टेंटली अंडर द सी वाटर इंक्लूजन. जो पानी समुद्र का इधर आता रहता है कोस्ट साइड एंड कोस्ट वाला एरिया से भी आपके जो सारे सैंड होता है ये सारी चीजें आपकी एक्यूमुलेट होती रहती है. तो ये बहुत कॉन्स्टेंटली एक्सट्रीम रीजन होता है किसी भी स्पीशीज के लिए. एंड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम वी हैव कंडक्टेड दिस सर्वे. सो सबसे पहली चीज, intertidal zone is a stable ecosystem with minimum fluctuations in moisture and temperature and the salinity, making it ideal habitat for wide range of marine species. So this statement is itself wrong because it's not a stable ecosystem. It's a extreme ecosystem under constant fluctuation, and species here need to be very dynamic in nature and very adaptable because they have to adapt to the constant fluctuations. Intertidal zones serve as an essential breeding ground and nurseries for juvenile fish and crustaceans, contributing significantly to marine biodiversity. तो जैसे कि हमने कुछ ट्रिक्स भी डिस्कस करी है एमसीक्यू करने की, तो उसमें 3 तो ऑटोमेटिकली पॉजिटिव स्टेटमेंट लग रहा है. कोई बायोडाइवर्सिटी आप रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हो तो यहाँ पे तो ये सही स्टेटमेंट बैठ रहा है. बायोडाइवर्सिटी तो होती है वहां पे बिकॉज इकोसिस्टम मल्टीपल होते हैं, तो उनको एडजस्ट करने के लिए काफी बायोडाइवर्सिटी रहती है. बट सेकेंड स्टेटमेंट इज रॉन्ग एंड फर्स्ट इज करेक्ट. तो आंसर विल बी बी 1 and 3. See, you can see the explanation. It's an extreme ecosystem. And for the first time, this initiative of documenting your intertidal zones biodiversity has been taken. That is why it was in news. And we should know the 2 foundations name that are involved: Coastal Conservation Foundation and East Coast Conservation Team. With respect to intertidal zone, you can refer to environment subject where it is a topic mentioned under ecotone. Next question, consider the following statements regarding Naksha initiative. Naksha is a part of Digital India Land Record Modernization Program and aims to create and update land records in urban areas to ensure reliable documentation of land ownership. This is correct statement. It is part of your land modernization program and it is updating land records in urban areas. तो आपको ये ध्यान रखना है, here focus is urban areas for establishing land ownership. Next, initiative is being implemented as a 1-year pilot program in 152 urban local bodies. The Survey of India is a technical partner responsible for conducting the aerial survey. The coordination is overseen by state level committee under chief secretary of each participating state. See, it's a question just to give you all the information with respect to this initiative. All options are correct. It is being launched as a pilot project by Ministry of Rural Development. And iski full form you can see here that National Geospatial Knowledge Based Land Survey of Urban Habitation. तो नक्शा का आप याद कैसे रखेंगे? Urban habitation. So all the statements are correct. 152 urban local body का सर्वे होगा. सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया विल बी द पार्टनर टू कंडक्ट द सर्वे एंड कौन ओवरसी करेगा पूरे प्रोसेस को? स्टेट लेवल कमेटी दैट हेडेड बाय योर चीफ सेक्रेटरी. अब what is this Digital India Land Record Modernization Program? It is a program launched in 2016 that is revamped in 2016. इसका पहले नाम था नेशनल लैंड रिकॉर्ड मॉडर्नाइजेशन प्रोग्राम एंड इट्स अ सेंट्रल सेक्टर स्कीम विद 100% सेंट्रल फंडिंग. तो सेंट्रल दो टाइप की स्कीम होती है, सेंट्रल सेक्टर और सेंट्रली स्पॉन्सर्ड. जो सेंट्रली स्पॉन्सर्ड होती है उसमें स्टेट भी कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं फंडिंग में, एंड सेंट्रल सेक्टर में 100% जो पैसा मिलता है वो सेंटर देता है 100%. तो इट्स अ 100% सेंट्रल सेक्टर स्कीम जिसमें सेंटर फंडिंग दे रहा है. की कंपोनेंट्स क्या है? दैट योर लैंड एंड रजिस्ट्रेशन विल बी डन कंप्यूटराइजेशन से, रेवेन्यू कोड्स को भी डिजिटाइज कर देंगे एंड आधार से भी इसको इंटीग्रेट कर देंगे. एंड व्हाट विल बी द टेन्योर 21 to 26 which is extended further, which can be extended further. इसी आपके इनिशिएटिव के अंदर डिजिटल लैंड रिकॉर्ड मॉडर्नाइजेशन प्रोग्राम के अंदर अलग अलग इनिशिएटिव्स लिए जाते हैं, जैसे कि हमें डिस्कस किया नक्शा प्रोग्राम. ऐसे ही देयर इज अनदर इनिशिएटिव्स लाइक यूनिक लैंड पार्सल आइडेंटिफिकेशन नंबर, यूएल पिन, और भू आधार जिसमें आपके जमीन को एक आइडेंटिटी कार्ड मिलता है, जैसे हर ह्यूमन का, इंडियन का अभी एक आधार दिया गया है. सिमिलरली लैंड इज ऑल्सो अलॉटेड Aadhaar type of identity card. Next, some achievements are mentioned here which you can read from the PDF. Next question is, consider the following statements. Number 1, the act provides for the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner by selection committee consisting of PM, Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, and Union Cabinet Minister nominated by Prime Minister. This act ensured, the act being talked about here is Chief Election Commissioner Act 2023. So act ensures that salary allowances and other service condition of CEC and EC, that is your election commissioners and chief election commissioner, are equivalent to those of Supreme Court judge. So this is wrong statement. EC की अलग होती है, CEC की अलग होती है. The act mandates CEC and EC will hold office for the term of 6 years or until they attain the age of 65 years. Number 4, the act removed the protection previously available to CEC and ECs, making them removable by President on the recommendation of Parliament. So which of the above statements are correct with respect to act? Let's see the certain provisions of this act. Your statement 2 and 3 are only correct. Explanation देखते हैं. सिलेक्शन कमेटी, सबसे पहली चीज, सिलेक्शन कमेटी में कौन कौन होता है? इट इज योर प्राइम मिनिस्टर, लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन इन लोकसभा एंड चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया. ये नाम और इस सिलेक्शन कमेटी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज अपॉइंटमेंट प्रोसीजर जिनका है इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया, इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इसमें यूनियन कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर नहीं होते हैं. आईसीस जो होते हैं आपके, इंफॉर्मेशन कमिश्नर वाला जो सिलेक्शन कमेटी होता है उसमें कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर होते हैं. तो हमें पैरेलली कंपेयर करते हुए बाकी कमेटीज, सिलेक्शन कमेटीज से याद रख सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज सैलरी अलाउंस, अदर सर्विस कंडीशंस आर इक्विवेलेंट टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस, एंड जो एज बताई गई है दैट इज ऑल्सो 65 or 6 year, whichever is earlier. But the act has removed the protection which were earlier available to CECs and EC. Now they can be removed by President on the basis of resolution passed by both houses of parliament on grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity, similar to the process of Supreme Court judges. तो पहले जो protection थी अब उसको हटा दिया. Now let's see something about the Election Commission of India also. Number 1, it's a constitutional body formed under Article 324 to 329. ये हमें पता होना चाहिए. इलेक्शन कमीशन ने 2011 से 25 जनवरी को आपका वोटर्स डे, नेशनल वोटर्स डे भी सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है, एंड इट इज अ 3-membered headed body जिसमें 1 CEC and 2 ECs होते हैं, and it has happened since 1993. तो कई बार स्टेटमेंट भी कह सकते हैं कि ओरिजिनली से आपका 3-member बॉडी रहा है ये, नो, बट सिंस 1993 ओनली. नेक्स्ट इज किस किस के इलेक्शन कराता है आपका इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया? लोकसभा, राज्यसभा, स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली, प्रेसिडेंट and vice president, and state legislative council if there is any in any state. Okay, moving on. Next question. Consider the following statements regarding, and why this question regarding election commission was because recently chief election commissioner has been appointed. Next question. Consider the following statements regarding urban cooperative banks. So urban cooperative banks are primary cooperative banks located exclusively in urban areas and not present in semi-urban regions. So that is not true because आपके urban cooperative banks का overlap हो सकता है with the other regions also. ऐसा कोई condition नहीं है. Next, urban cooperative banks are registered as cooperative societies under State Cooperative Act or Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 2002. Next, RBI regulates and supervises the functioning of UCBs under Banking Regulation Act 1949. UCBs are primarily regulated by NABARD and not by RBI. तो देखिए दो आपके 3 and 4 कितने कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी स्टेटमेंट है, तो या तो 3 ठीक होगा या 4 ठीक होगा. And here you can see the answer is 2 and 3. Here RBI regulates and banking function under RBRA Act and UCBs are कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज अंडर स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव एक्ट्स के अंदर रजिस्टर्ड करते हैं, या अगर आपकी उसका यूसीबी जो भी आपका कोऑपरेटिव बैंक है उसका डोमेन मल्टी स्टेट लेवल पे है, मींस नॉट जस्ट इन वन स्टेट उसकी प्रेजेंस है, देन इट इज रेगुलेटेड अंडर, इट इज रजिस्टर्ड अंडर मल्टी स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज एक्ट एंड दे आर नॉट एक्सक्लूसिवली. वन तो आपका स्टेटमेंट रॉन्ग ही है, दैट वी नो. Now, with respect to statement 4, UCB are regulated by RBI, not NABARD. NABARD is not a regulatory body for UCBs. So why this question was in news? Because RBI ने अभी कुछ new restrictions impose की है UCBs पे, that is New India Cooperative Bank पे. So this has led to the new scrutiny over the UCBs and raising concerns with respect to their governance. So as a result आपसे पूछा जा सकता है कि यूसीबी को रेगुलेट कौन करता है, कहाँ पे ऑपरेट करते हैं, मेन पर्पस क्या है उनका, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. विद रिस्पेक्ट टू कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट रिगार्डिंग मराठा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अंडर छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज. क्यों क्वेश्चन है, अभी आपकी एक फेमस मूवी भी आई है, वो भी मराठा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पे फोकस कर रही है, प्लस वी हैव रिसेंटली सेलिब्रेटेड एनिवर्सरी ऑफ छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज. तो फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट देखते हैं. शिवाजी इंट्रोड्यूस्ड रोतवारी सिस्टम वेयर टैक्सेस आर कलेक्टेड डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम peasants. So this is a wrong statement. He has introduced जब्ती सिस्टम. एक्चुअली जो रोतवारी था वो आपका ब्रिटिशर्स ने किया था. सेकेंड, he established a strong intelligence network called हिंदावी स्वराज to gather information about enemy activities. Yes, he established the strong networks and his vision was Hindavi Swaraj, that is of self-rule. तो उस नेटवर्क को we don't call Hindavi Swaraj. Shivaji promoted Sanskrit and Marathi as official language. This is correct. He built a strong network of forts. Maratha forts are already very famous for their construction style because of the protection they provide to the kingdom. So this is also correct statement. So your answer will be 2, 3 and 4. Here we have called this intelligence network Hindavi Swaraj, but actually it means self-rules. Establish a strong, I think this statement has been misprinted. It is incorrect because this network is not Hindavi Swaraj. Hindavi Swaraj का मतलब होता है vision of self-rule. And Shivaji has began this revenue system called Zapti system, जिससे कि जमीन का रेवेन्यू कितना आएगा एक जमीन से वो डिसाइड किया जा सकता है. And we know which all forts belong to which all forts were built by Shivaji Maharaj. That is your Raigarh Fort, Pratapgarh Fort, Sindhu Durg, which serve as a not just fort for living but military and administrative centers both. And with respect to Chhatrapati Shivaji, he was born at Shivneri Fort and raised by his mother. His mother's name was Jijabai, and his mentor was Daduji Konde. He was deeply influenced by Hindu and the Sufi teachings. तो ये भी आपसे पूछ सकते हैं सूफी टीचिंग का इन्फ्लुएंस था. Yes. And he was famous for the guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare where we attack via like guerrilla techniques जो होती हैं आपकी tactics, जिसमें आप पेड़ से एंड जो जंगल में जो आपकी tactics अप्लाई होती है उनसे. And he began conquest by capturing Torna fort and defeated Afzal Khan in 1659. And he has taken very progressive reforms, and his coronation was done as Chhatrapati in 1674, which has actually formalized the Marathas empire independence. So he was very much focused on military discipline, and then your religious tolerance, because he was also influenced by Sufi teachings, and he has promoted all the religions, and he's famous for the intelligence network plus his vision of Hindavi Swarajya, that is self rule. Next question: consider the following statements regarding jurisdiction of Lokpal as per Lokpal and Lokayukta Act 2013. So, Lokpal has jurisdiction over Prime Minister, including matters related to IR, security, public order, atomic energy, and space. So, this is a wrong statement because Prime Minister के ऊपर इनिशिएट इंक्वायरी करने का लोकपाल के पास jurisdiction होता है, but not with respect to these matters. These are outside the purview of Lokpal according to section 14 of this 2013 Act. And to initiate inquiry against Prime Minister, a full bench of Lokpal must approve the inquiry with at least 2/3 majority. So statement 2 is correct. Lokpal can investigate complaint against A, B, C, and D officers, group officers of central government. This is correct. Lokpal has jurisdiction over chairperson, member, officer, employee of any body authority established by Act of Parliament or funded, controlled by central government. This is also correct. And Lokpal can initiate entities that receive donations, foreign donations exceeding 10 lakh. तो 10 लाख की लिमिट है, 10 लाख से ज्यादा का फॉरेन डोनेशंस आते हैं कोई ऐसी एंटिटी के पास जो रजिस्टर है FCRA एक्ट के अंडर, देन दैट कैन बी दैट देयर वी हैव जुरिस्डिक्शन ऑफ लोकपाल. तो आपसे ये पूछ सकते हैं क्वेश्चन कि लोकपाल की जुरिस्डिक्शन किस किस के ऊपर होती है. तो फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज रॉन्ग, अदर्स आर करेक्ट. 2, 3, 4, 5 आर करेक्ट. अभी ये क्वेश्चन क्यों न्यूज में उठा है? बिकॉज रिसेंटली लोकपाल हैज made a statement, passed a recent order where it has been classified that high court judges will be treated as public servants, but under this Lokpal and Lokayukta Act, which means now they can be tried. Judges can also be tried by your Lokpal, but that is being reversed by your Supreme Court. Supreme Court ने इस ऑर्डर को नलिफाई कर दिया है, स्टे लगा दिया है और बोला है कि जजेस जो होते हैं दे आर अपॉइंटेड अंडर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. सो उनके ऊपर लोकपाल से इम्यूनिटी है, लोकपाल की जुरिस्डिक्शन की. एज वी हैव सीन द एक्सप्लेनेशन पार्ट, प्राइम मिनिस्टर with respect to these issues that are mentioned, international security, public order, atomic energy, space, ये आपके outside the purview of this Lokpal Act under section 14, and other statements are correct. So next question we will be considering is the mains question. Recently, Amir of Qatar has visited India, and India has leveled up its ties with Qatar to strategic partnership level. As a result, the West Asia already is in news, plus this strategic partnership with Qatar. So we can expect question on West Asia in IR and GS2. Let's see the question. Analyze the recent development in India-Qatar relations and discuss strategic importance of Qatar for India in context of West Asia. So first thing, the ties have been elevated to strategic partnership level. तो आप इससे introduce कर सकते हैं, or you can say that India-Qatar has a multifaceted relationship, historical linkages हैं, This way you can start your relation, your introduction of the answer. You can also say that Qatar's strategic location in West Asia and its role as a global energy supplier make it a very crucial partner for India. You can start in either of the manner. So this you can read from the PDF. तो recent developments, then we will mention the recent development. तो recent developments क्या हुआ है? High level visits हुई हैं, state visits, जिसमें Amir of Qatar has recently visited India. Various MOUs, especially to double the bilateral trade to 28 billion in 5 years, that has been signed. Plus, there are MOUs on the business side that are being reached in this visit, and our partnership has reached to the next level. So now let's, then what you will write, that how India, on what aspects India and Qatar are cooperating and enhancing their ties. Number one, importance क्या है कतर की? Energy cooperation. So Qatar is India's one of the largest supplier of liquefied natural gas. Almost 40% जो इंडिया का liquefied natural gas आता है, डिमांड आता है उसका, इंडिया का कतर से मीट होता है. And we have also signed some long-term contract, especially 2015 agreement is known for ensuring energy security of India. Next aspect is डिफेंस. तो तब भी कोई आईआर का क्वेश्चन आए, यू हैव टू टच ऑन वेरियस एस्पेक्ट. आप एनर्जी, डिफेंस, डायस्पोरा, इकोनॉमिक ट्रेड एस्पेक्ट, people to people contact, these will be 5-6 things. Connectivity, these are the 5 or 6 things on which you can describe the relation with any country, be it Qatar, be it US or anything. So next aspect is defense. So defense mein we are also trying to utilize the strategic location of Qatar to ensure our maritime security. For that, we have signed a defense cooperation agreement that was extended recently in 2018. As well as we conduct one bilateral naval exercise with Qatar, that is Zair al Bahar. ये exercise करते हैं हम, defense exercise. Plus, we also participate in the Doha International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference in Qatar. So it happens biennially and we participate. Also, in the next aspect of Indian diaspora, you can discuss around 8 lakh Indians reside in Qatar. तो उनकी सिक्योरिटी इंश्योर करना के लिए और उनके लिए अच्छी कंडीशंस हो, फॉर दैट वी नीड गुड रिलेशंस विद कतर फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द डायस्पोरा. ऑलवेज रिमेन अ प्रायोरिटी फॉर इंडिया. ठीक है, स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग इवेंट्स लाइक फीफा वर्ल्ड कप हुआ था, वेयर इंडियन वर्कर्स हैव प्लेड अ वाइटल रोल. So you can mention that. Another aspect is the economic trade, that is bilateral trade, which is now around $14 billion, and our target is to make it $28 billion by 2030. Currently, it's 15 billion. And India exports textile, gems, machinery, and what it imports is the energy related products. For example, your LNG, petrochemicals, as well as we have also received huge amount of Qatar sovereign wealth fund in India's infrastructural projects. So that is why our relation has grown to this aspect. So these aspects you can mention. Another is now next thing that you will be writing in your answer is strategic importance of Qatar with respect to West Asia. Number one is your energy security. Stable fuels हमें चाहिए, container supply चाहिए, we need cleaner fuels also. Plus we want to reduce our import bills and reduce our dependence on the global volatility in the oil markets. Another important aspect of good relation with Qatar is geopolitical significance, because Qatar can play a mediation role, especially in the Afghan peace process, as well as India and Qatar both want regional stability, and it can cooperate with GCC, Iran, and India can have diplomatic leverage with respect to that. Another aspect that Qatar could counter the terrorism and improvise on the security aspect, and we can also share intelligence with Qatar. And it is important not just for the whole region, but to combat the extremist terrorism tendencies and the radicalization, things that are going on in the sensitive region like West Asia, and to maintain our good contacts in all with all the countries of West Asia, Qatar is also very important. Plus, to counter the Chinese influence is one of the aspect also. Next, economic and strategic investment that Qatar Investment Authority has done in Indian startups and industry, which can boost our infrastructural, renewable energy, and align with our SDGs. So as a result, it is Qatar is also important. They have oil and they have surplus revenue from oil, so they can invest in India, and India is a growing market. So this can be one of the aspect. Another aspect is culture and the diaspora link. तो culture तो हमने देखा है, diaspora we have seen around 8 lakh Indian people stay there, and we need welfare of that. Apart from this, regular exchange on the cultural aspect are being done with the Indian Cultural Center, which is active in your Qatar. So these are the aspects you can mention in your answer, and it has all the facts necessary. और कुछ recent updates होते हैं, then you can mention them also. So, in conclusion, what you can write that India Qatar has evolved into strategic partnership driven by mutual interest in energy security, economic growth. So, Qatar's pivotal role in West Asia and its alignment with India's regional and the global objective can make it a indispensable partner. So, in this way, you can conclude your answer. So this was for today's discussion. Thank you very much.